What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Happy Valentine's Sunday. I hope everybody's having an amazing day. My name is Cody Barton. Welcome to Sunday service. And so for those of you that maybe are tuning in to Sunday service for the first time, this is every Sunday. We do this at 7 p.m. Arizona time. If you do not already know, we are on Spotify. We are on iTunes. So if you're driving around throughout the week and you want to tune into Sunday service and what we have going on, you can jump over to Spotify or iTunes and check us out on there. And I'm excited to get into it tonight, guys. Let's see here. So we're going to be talking about private money lenders, private money lending, part 3. I'm also going to talk a little bit about money management, as well as that is a topic that kind of goes hand in hand also with, potentially for you to become a private money lender as well. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Looks like we have people plugging in from a lot of different places. Where's everybody tuning in from tonight? Hope everyone's had a good Valentine's Day. Myself and my girlfriend, Hayel, we just finished up dinner and came right to Sunday service. So excited to be here. Jeremy says, I wish I could stay. Wife needs me to eat with her, I guess. Have a great video. Love it. Love it. Happy wife, happy life. Awesome. So as some of you may notice, I'm not in the typical studio setup that I have at home. I'm in Las Vegas right now for the weekend, heading home tomorrow. So it looks like we have people coming in from Texas, Seattle, Missouri, Pennsylvania, South Beach, Florida, San Antonio, Texas, Alabama, Orange County, California. So people tuning in from all over the place. Happy to have you guys here tuning in today. If you guys aren't already, just for, I know there's a lot of new people that will plug into these lives every week. And so I just wanted to let everybody know about the community that we have online on Facebook. If you're not already involved, you can go over to Facebook and search for the Creative Finance Facebook group, Creative Financing Facebook group. With Pace Morby, you guys could jump into there and network with other people. I think one of the biggest things, especially as you're getting your real estate career started, is having a community, having a network of some people that you can plug in with. So that's a great place to go to find some like-minded individuals to be able to network with. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the topic here on private money lending, and more specifically how we kind of manage some of our private money lender relationships, and then we'll talk about some money in general, and we'll do some Q&A. So let's jump into it, guys. So Jeanette, Pace texted me a few minutes before we got on here and said that he was running a little bit behind. Him and his wife for Valentine's Day were out hiking, and so they're running a little bit late hopping on. So he just wanted me to go ahead and get us started here. So let's go ahead and talk about private money lenders, private money lender relationships, some of the things that we do to keep the relationships strong as we're, working with the lenders. So the first couple weekends that the topic has been on private money lenders has been on, where do you find private money lenders? How do you have the conversation? What are some of the things that you bring up to be able to, start that relationship, right? So that's what the first 2 weekends were about. Pace did a really great job going into that. What I'm going to go into now today is a little bit more on like managing those relationships once you actually get those created. And so just recapping a little bit of a couple of the sources where you can find private money lenders. One where we find private money lenders from the previous weekends is we find a lot of our lenders from sellers. So we'll find lenders from sellers that we've bought their property and they are, not certain what they want to do with the money. This especially works well that we've been able to do really well with some of the lenders that they specifically don't know what to do with the money. They just are in a situation where they're going to be getting a lump sum of cash. So one of those conversation starters, if you have good rapport with the seller you're working with, having that conversation. What are you planning on doing with the money when you sell? Or what do you, are you going to reinvest it, or what's your plan? So you could start that conversation, obviously, starting conversations with people in your network. Most of our lenders, just so everybody understands and knows this, most of our lenders aren't other real estate investors. Other real estate investors are looking for lenders. So a lot of our lenders come from people that have regular corporate jobs. So, people that have, a 401k that they're just not really happy with the returns with, but they've been working in their profession, their particular career for 10, 15, 20 years, and they just are looking for a higher return where they could invest that money safely. So I just wanted to recap, some of the places where you can find, private money lenders from the previous calls that we have had. And then, I want to just jump right into, how do you manage those relationships, once you've gotten those started? So typically what we do when we have a new private money lender is the process goes, Pace usually has an initial conversation with them, identifies, time, like what are they looking for, right? So what you have to do when you're having these conversations is, hey, like, what are you looking to accomplish here? That's one of the great questions that you ask sellers when you're trying to put a deal together to buy their property. So, one of those questions that you ask somebody that could be a potential lender is, what are you looking to accomplish? How long do you want to have your money working? I mean, do you want to have the money out for 3 to 6 months? Do you want to have it out for 12 months? Do you want to have it be running for, 2, 3, 4 years? So the reason you want to do that is you're going to be able to identify, okay, is this going to be a lender that could fund fix and flips, like the short-term lender that's like the 3 to 6 month? Is this going to be a lender that can fund my long-term holds? Maybe you're doing buy and holds. Maybe you're doing the BRRRR strategy, or maybe you're buying, subject twos or seller carries to turn into rentals or Airbnbs. So those are some questions to ask, right? That when you're having those conversations with somebody that is in a position where they are ready and they want to lend. So that's how you'd want to start that conversation. And then, once you kind of get a feel for, how much money they want to lend and their timeline and their terms and everything, then it's just about, explaining, the process. And, part of like what we do with the lenders that we work with is, letting them know like, hey, we actually won't take your money unless it's secured by real estate. Sometimes we'll have lenders that, they just want to give us the money and get a return on their interest, or an interest on their money just to give to us. But, we only will take money from lenders where we're able to secure their money against real estate. So what that looks like is, that particular property, say 123 Main Street, we're going to be doing a fix and flip. And the lender is going to be lending, say, $200,000. Now, how do they make sure that they're secure? What we're going to be doing with that lender is we're going to have them wire that $200,000 to the title company that we're making the purchase of that, 123 Main Street property. So they're going to wire the funds to the title company for the purchase of the property. And then what the title company is going to do is they're going to secure a note in deed of trust. Now, again, for those of you that may not have heard the first, 2 lives on private money lenders, the note in deed of trust is essentially a piece of paper that says, that is written on it, hey, my name is Cody, Mr. or Mrs. Lender, you're lending me this money at $200,000 at 10 or 12% interest, whatever the agreement is. And I agree that over the next 6 months, I'm going to, pay you your principal back plus an interest rate of X. And the money has to all be paid back to you within 6 months or within a year or whatever you agree on with your particular lender. And now what happens is with whatever county that you live in or whatever county you're doing this particular deal in, what the title company is going to do is on that note that says, Mr. or Mrs. Lender in the terms, you as the buyer are signing that note saying, hey, yeah, I'm going to pay you. I agree to these terms. Let's go ahead and move forward with this deal. And then so that note's going to get recorded with the county. The deed of trust is going to get recorded with the county. That deed is basically just what's ensuring that there's, insurance against the property, essentially, that, hey, this $200,000 loan by Mr. or Mrs. Lender has to be paid off if this property is going to sell or exchange hands, so that when I go and resell the fix and flip, that's part of what's going to be paid off when I go and sell it to my end buyer, right? So that's essentially just, giving that, bird's eye view again of what those, steps look like when, getting this lender, getting this lender tied into the deal and getting those funds actually into the purchase. So before I continue, guys, I'm going to go ahead and answer a couple of questions. I'm seeing some really great questions coming through. Oh, Matt, how is the McLaren, bro? So I rented a McLaren 570S today here in Vegas, and it's been a blast driving that thing around. Super fun. Definitely would encourage it, for any of you car people on here. Great time, super great time to be able to do that. Matt, it was great. Definitely have to get one now. All right, let's take a look. Chuck says, search your local family office for private money lenders. That's definitely a great idea. Tony, how do we find a private money lender outside of friends and family? So you have to be careful advertising that you're trying to secure lenders, because you don't really want to put yourself in a position where you're illegally soliciting for investors for your business. So, what you have to do is you have to actually, have a relationship established with that individual before, like, the relationship starter can't just be, hey, will you lend me money? Yeah, sure. Like, that can't be the relationship starter if you don't have, proper licensing to raise money. So the way that we raise money is, people that we've established relationships with, we just kind of make the point out there. So if you're having conversations with friends and family, and then you can ask, start having conversations, go to meetups, go to your local meetups. Some of them are online right now. So, go online, start connecting with other investors, talking to them. Some of our best investors have came from people we've met at meetups. One of the, another place you can meet lenders at are masterminds. If you aren't a part of a mastermind, I mean, that's a really key place where you can find people that have money because they're investing in a mastermind. And a lot of the time they're looking to, to continue to grow their own financial, returns as well. So, I have a really great lender from a mastermind that I'm a part of. And, I have access over to, over $1 million in capital from one of the lenders in a mastermind that I joined. Now, I'm paying a 5-figure a year investment to be a part of this mastermind, but part of being involved in a mastermind is it allows you to get around other people that, have capital. So, Tony, what you have to realize is, like, the people that, could be investing in your deals, think about, how can you get around more of those people? Where are people with money hanging out? Where are people with extra capital hanging around? Making it a point to network with people like that. Whether they're in your friend group or not, join masterminds, join different coaching programs. Go to, if there's a certain gym around your town where, more affluent people are hanging around, go to that gym. Johnny Sanchez, dude, you could not be any more right. Definitely relationship based. Private money lending, the way that we get capital is all around the relationship. You build rapport, you build a friendship. Eventually, if you want to do business with each other, they decide to lend you money. Great. That's a benefit to the relationship. Mamadou says, my doctor friends are my best source right now. Yeah. So here's the thing, guys. Doctors, lawyers, attorneys, engineers, all of these different types of high paid professions, there's people in those professions that they're making a lot of money. They make a lot of money take home, but they're so dang busy that they're unable to put themselves in a position where they can learn to invest because they're working on their job. Like I have a friend of mine, he's a surgeon, and he has no time to invest in real estate, meaning like he doesn't have time to study the numbers and everything because he's running a successful practice and extremely busy. That takes up all of his working hours. But what does he have? He has a lot of capital to invest. So like that's a prime candidate. So a lot of the best investors are people that are high paid professions, high paid jobs that they just want to be able to park some of their capital, diversify some of their portfolio out of, being entirely like in the S&P or the stock market. And they want to be able to put some of that into real estate and, into a secured deal. So, great point, Mamadou, on, doctor friends being a great resource. So let me look at a couple of these other questions here. Rohit says, what mastermind are you a part of? I'm a part of two masterminds. One is called the WGR Mastermind. It's out of Utah. And then there's another mastermind that's a private invite-only real estate investor mastermind that runs, 3 meetups a year, once, on the East Coast, once on the West Coast, once centrally. So 2 different masterminds. I would like to be in a third, but I just don't have enough time in the day to be a part of all of these different masterminds and then running masterminds and running, the different businesses that Pace and I are. Chuck, let's see here. So Chuck says, the more you put yourself out there on what you're doing on social media brings people who believe in what you're doing and the money will come. There's a great point to that. There's a really great point to that. So when you're putting yourself out there, obviously you're showing that you know what you're doing. Some people, they're too scared to be on social media. Social media has brought Pace and myself most of the opportunities that we have, from private money lenders, from, being invited to other masterminds, being invited to different, just different environments to be around high-level people. Because you're basically, your social media nowadays, guys, is your business card. What you're doing on Instagram, what you're doing on Facebook, that is what your business card is. So you have to look at, what are you putting out there? Are you putting out that you're in real estate, that you're investing in real estate? That's what you have to see, for your social media is make it work for you. Too many people consume instead of create. That's the problem with social media is too many people are consuming it and they're not creating anything. You probably could look at Pace and myself and think that, dang, like these guys spend all of their time on social media because of how much we put out. We're posting on our Instagrams. We have stuff going in our Facebook groups. We have stuff going on YouTube. We have podcasts, but a very small amount of our time is really put on the platforms. It's on around creating for the platforms for other people to consume. So that's definitely something. That's definitely something to keep in mind with social media. Is it's a business card for yourself. Let's see. Daniel says, how would you pay back your private money lender? I have a friend that wants to try lending with me, probably a 1-year term to test things. It'll be a buy and hold opportunity where we offer him, I don't know what you mean by at the end of there, but you're going to offer him payments. So Daniel, what you can do, there's a few different things that you have to look at is what is your investor trying to accomplish and what are you trying to accomplish? Are you going to resell that hold in a year? Do you want to hold on to that after? So you got to look at, okay, so interest only. So what you got to look at is if you're going to do, say, the BRRRR strategy, for example. So on that particular deal, if you're going to do the BRRRR, you're going to eventually just refinance them out. If you're going to buy it, renovate it, using their capital to renovate the property, get tenants in there, stabilize it with some good tenants that are paying monthly, and then put yourself in a position to refinance them, refinance the entire purchase of the property, to remove that interest. That's what it sounds like. If you're going to be having him fund the whole purchase of the project, of the purchase plus renovations or whatever you're doing to that particular deal, yeah, you're going to have to refinance him out at some point with institutional lending if you want to hold that long term. Or if you just want to do a short term hold, you could just cut them in on the profits. Some people do that getting started. We don't do that anymore, but we just do a flat interest rate. But what you can do when you're starting and trying to build a track record, Daniel, is you could say, hey, if you fund the purchase and renovation of this deal, I'll pay you interest only payments, and then we'll resell the deal in a year and a half or 2 years or whatever that projected time horizon for that particular deal should be. Resell it and say, hey, whatever net on the deal, I'll give you 10% on top of your interest, right? So net of the net profit. So you can structure it however you want, Daniel. Just know what your exit is. That's going to be your biggest thing. You got to figure out how you're going to exit that deal. Because if you're planning to just hold it long term, like that capital is going to get tied up. You're going to have to replace that capital, whether that's you taking your own income and replacing it, or whether that's you getting a traditional loan and refinancing him out. All right, let's see what other questions we got here. I know I missed a few up top as well. Malcolm makes a really good point here. For him and Paula, they're lenders of ours. And so something really important is, for new lenders, you got to educate them about the process. And just make it simple to understand, because we have to understand, like you listening to this recording today, or, this call today, more about real estate oftentimes than your investors are going to. So you got to make them feel good and warm and fuzzy because you're the expert, because you are. If you're trying to bring a lender into your deal and you have a plan, a strategy, and an exit for that deal, you are the expert. And you need to educate them on what the steps are going to be. Hey, what are the potential negatives that can happen? Hey, maybe this project takes a little bit longer. Sometimes that happens for us. We have a deal that goes a little bit longer because of construction issues that'll come up. So there's certain things that you just have to, have that conversation with your lender. And it's keeping that open line of communication with your lender. If stuff's going on, like, for example, we have a fix and flip that, we expected to take about 3 months. And we had, when we had one of our lenders that, was only planning to be in that deal for 6 months. How do you handle this? In this particular situation, this project ended up taking 5 months because we closed on the purchase, and the lady that was supposed to move out right after we closed didn't move out for almost 2 months. So that extended our timeline 2 months, right? So that made it where our lender that was supposed to get all of their capital back in 6 months, we just had an open conversation. Hey, do you want us to refinance you at 6 months like our note states here, or do we want to put something new in place to revise this and update it? Because I think we're going to look more at 8 months right now, from the total turn time, for that extra 2 months. And so he's like, yeah, like, let's just extend. So, just having that open communication is going to help, continue to build that trust and rapport with your lenders through that process. Let's see here. So Freddie's saying, are you putting together some type of investor packet for the deal to review before they make a decision to invest? Sorry, guys, I'm a little dehydrated, so I'm trying to drink up while we are going here. So we do not do a packet, but we do send the deal terms. So some of our investors that have been working with us for a few years now, they don't have us send them all the deal terms and information anymore. It's pretty much like a conversation of, hey, we need 200 grand or we need 100 grand. It's going into this property at 123 Main Street. We plan to have it working for this many months. and, let's go ahead and do the deal. And they just wire the money. They do their note, their deed of trust, and all of that, because we've done deals with some of our lenders dozens of times. So it's just, they're just like, yeah, like, let's just move forward. But some of the new lenders, obviously, you have to, like, they're going to have a little bit more apprehension. They're going to have a little bit more anxiety around lending with you for the first time. So you need to be prepared. You need to be the expert. Like I was saying, if you go to a lender and you don't know your stuff, you are going to look like a dummy. Even though your lender may not know more about real estate than you, you need to know what you're doing. You need to know how to protect their money. Because when we are working with our lenders, I stress out more about my private money lenders and deals than I do about my own personal money and deals, because I want to make sure that we are taking care of their money and we're being good stewards of their money and putting it into good projects that are going to be a great project for us and for them, and creating that win-win situation. So part of what that information looks like, Freddie, is something as simple as this. We'll have an email that'll go to our lender and we'll say, hey, Freddie, looking forward to potentially putting a deal together for you. Here's a potential deal that we have that we're going to be funding. We're going to be getting funded here in about a week. This, fits the criteria of what you're looking for based on a previous conversation that we had. So I just want to see if this would be, these terms would make sense for you, to lend on this particular deal. We're buying this property here at 123 Main Street. It is a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot property. We are going to be purchasing this property for X amount of money. Here are the pictures of the property so you can see what the condition of the property is. With that, here is the expected budget. We're going to purchase the property for this much money. We expect to spend this much money in our renovation. Here is our Excel or our, estimate from our construction manager, Anna, on our team of what she expects to spend. So our total all-in investment into this deal is X. And we are anticipating, here are 3 comps. Here are 3 verifiable comps that have closed, that have sold within the same neighborhood as the property that we are, planning to flip. Here's what the 3 comps sold for. Here is why they're similar: same bed and bath count, similar square footage, similar build style within the same neighborhood. And with all of this said, they sold in a reasonable amount of time, very low inventory in this particular neighborhood, like just the key points of why this deal makes sense to even flip in the first place. And once I break that down, then I say, we expect to utilize $100,000 at X percentage interest for X amount of months, and our close of escrow is going to be on this date. So this is when we need the money to fund buy. And then I also go into, following up from a call, and your money is, of course, secured by a note and deed of trust against the property. Like that is what that email essentially looks like, Freddie. It's very simple. You don't have to overcomplicate it. It's just, this is what we're doing. This is how we're going to accomplish our goal. This is what supports what our goal is. This is how long we expect it to take. Let's either move forward and let's do the deal, or if it's not a good fit for you, no problem. We'll have one of our other lenders fund the deal. And that's essentially how we'll put that together. Because if you just lay out the data there and you show them what you're doing, it's pretty easy from that point, because it's just numbers, right? But I can't emphasize enough how important it is. Like, you got to know what you're doing. Like, I would not be trying to get people to invest money in deals of yours if you don't even know what you're doing. At least have a mentor that's guiding you so that you don't put yourself in a situation. I've seen this happen. I've seen it happen where other, real estate investors, I'll never say the name, obviously, but I've seen other real estate investors put themselves in a spot where they've borrowed money from lenders and they don't know how to get the deal executed. And now they're in a position where, they're losing money on a deal and losing, private lender money. So you just gotta know what you're doing, and, don't get in over your head if you don't know how to put a deal together. So Freddie, I hope that helped answer that. Angel, what type of interest rates are you giving your private money lenders? Most of our new lenders have been, 8 to 10% has been, really what, where we've been at. We have a lot of lenders that we work with already. So we're just kind of in a spot where we have relationships with people that we've worked with now for a few years and that we're super happy with, and we have really good relationships. And so it's gotten lower, and they just like working with us. So it's like they know that it's a steady, stable investment, so that's why they like working with us. And we know that they're a steady, secure source of capital when we need to get a deal closed. So but it definitely, Angel, it didn't start that way. When we were first raising private capital and putting money into deals, we had to give up part of the deal. I had to give up. When I was doing some of my first flips, I was giving up a percentage of my net profit. I wasn't even giving up just interest. It was like, hey, you're going to take 25% of the net on my flip because I'm a noob and I don't have tons of experience, but I know that this is a good deal. So that's how you build your track record. Obviously, if you can get better terms than that starting off, yes, go do that. But, if you're having a hard time and like you're going to pass up on a deal because you don't have the money, but somebody will lend you the money and, take a little bit of the deal, whatever you got to do, get the deals going, get your track record going. People get too caught up in, needing to make the most amount of money out of every deal. You got to understand, like, your private money lender and you, like, no one deal is going to change mine or Pace's life. Like, yeah, we have some deals that we make some large chunks of cash on, but that deal doesn't change our life. It's the, continuation of doing multiple deals. So, getting a track record down, getting some deals under your belt, getting, some trust and foundation, with lenders under your belt, so that you can then continue to raise more money by building a reputation around yourself, sharing your successes, sharing your accomplishments on social media, so that you can continue conversations with, your private money lenders you have. And a lot of times they'll tell your friends about you. If you get, one good lender, a lot of times they'll start to tell their friends if you're doing a good job, you're communicating well, and they're getting a good return that they're happy with on their money. So 53 new house. Oh, Lisa here. Thank you, Lisa, for letting me know, because it says your YouTube name. Lisa says, we've been able to secure private money lenders, but only asset-based. When private money lending in second position, how do you get them comfortable with the transaction? So when it comes to lending in second position, that's just a matter of, comfortability with your lender. It's just, they have to feel good about it. So what essentially is going to happen for those of you that are like second position, what the heck are you talking about? This is going over my head. So I'm going to go over just a quick explanation, Lisa, and then I'm going to get to your question. So when you are, say, for example, if anyone on here, you buy a house, just normally, right? Like just the standard way that most people do it, they go to Wells Fargo, they get a loan for $100,000 and they go buy their house. What happens is there's a note and deed of trust that is secured against that property, that Wells Fargo owns the note, and you owe Wells Fargo that $100,000. That is a first position lien that is put against the property from Wells Fargo. Now, that is what first position is. It's the first lien against the property, the first loan against the property. So the second position would be this, for example. Say on that property you bought for $100,000 with a loan from Wells Fargo. Now that property is worth, let's say, $200,000. And let's say you get a second against your house. There's people that talk about it. Oh, I got a second mortgage. I got another mortgage against my house. There's banks that will give you a second, or, you can look at like a HELOC, a home equity line of credit is kind of like a second against the property as well, in a way. But basically a second would be a mortgage or a lien, something that needs to be paid against the property that is in second position against it. So what does that mean? So let's just do this for the example. Let's say that property that I bought for $100,000, I owe $100,000 on it in first position to Wells Fargo. I go to private money lender, or I go to Bank of America and they give me a loan for $50,000 against the property in second position. So now I owe $150,000 on that property, $100,000 to Wells Fargo, $50,000 to Bank of America. Now, let's say I foreclose. I can't make my payments, and I'm just in a situation where they're going to foreclose against my property. Now, what's going to happen is, say my property is worth $175,000, or, let's just say $175,000. And I hope this may go over some of your guys' heads if this is the first time you're hearing this, but it's totally fine. You can come back and listen to it again. But let's just say the property is worth $175,000 and my property goes to foreclosure. It goes to the auction. It's auctioned off and other investors are bidding to buy my property because I couldn't keep up with my mortgage payments and my property forecloses. And let's say that the investors, they bid up the property, and they end up paying let's just say the market value, $175,000. Now what's going to happen is, or let's just say a little bit under, let's say it's $155,000 is paid for the property. Now, the first lien is entitled to their payoff first. So that first $100,000 would go to pay off Wells Fargo, which was that first lien holder, right? The second lien holder, which is Bank of America that I mentioned, would be the second chunk that gets paid off. So that's the difference really, is your first lien is paid off first and your second lien would be the one that's paid off second. And then remember I said there's $155,000 that was paid for the property and I only owed $150,000. I would get the extra $5,000, even though it was foreclosed. I still am entitled to the equity that, above what the payoffs were for that property. So where there's a risk in second position is, let's say, what if the property sold for $145,000 instead of $155,000? First lender, Wells Fargo, gets their $100,000, they're paid off, and now there's only $45,000 left. But Bank of America, they're owed $50,000. Well, second position, they're only going to get $45,000. They're going to be $5,000 short. That's what happens. That's where there's uncertainty with, first versus second position. But really, Lisa, you're just going to have to find investors that are comfortable with that. And a lot of our investors, the ones that are comfortable lending in second position, they know our track record. So you may just have to, either develop a better, longer track record, not saying that you maybe don't already have one, but get a longer track record going, or be buying properties at a deeper discount. So if you're buying a property too high and you're already paying a high number in first position, I would also be leery to lend to you in second position if you were already buying pretty high in first position. So I know this is maybe a little bit over, some of your guys' heads, but I just wanted to get that out there. You just have to find lenders with different risk tolerances. Every lender is going to have a different risk tolerance. If you look at myself and Pace, we have a very different risk tolerance. Like, he wants to buy multiple properties out of state as Airbnbs, and I'm just honestly not really comfortable doing that right now. Does it mean that they're a bad investment? No. I just don't want to do it. I make my decisions off of how will I sleep at night. If I can't sleep good at night because I'm stressed out about a property, I don't want to do that deal. So Lisa, that's what you got to look at, is you got to find the right lenders that are, comfortable lending in that manner. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. Yeah, Debbie, second position is mostly based on relationships and credibility. In your opinion, yeah, that is entirely it. I can't say it any better than that. You just have to have, a good track record most of the time to get those type of lenders. Freddie, thank you. Great question. Appreciate it. Noah Hoffman, what's up, dude? So when you're new, you have to give up equity because you need the private money lender to get in second position. Noah, that can be true. It also could be not true. So that's just based on whatever private lender you're talking to. If you cannot for the life of you find somebody to go in second position unless they're getting some equity in the deal, if they're not getting some equity in the deal and you're just at a wall and you can't get a lender in the deal, does it make more sense to do a deal and give a lender 10% of the back end or 25% of the back end versus not doing the deal at all? That's what you have to just underwrite into, what makes sense for you. But I lean on that if you're new and getting started and trying to, build your track record with lenders, Noah, I would definitely put a lender, I would put a lender in a position where they're getting a percentage of the equity. If you can't get a lender to lend you any other way, I'd rather do a deal and make less of the deal. Like that was a big thing. Like I used to work as a real estate agent, and I never understood why, I didn't work on a team. I had a small team of agents that worked with me, but I never understood why people that were very, underperforming agents, like they would only sell a few houses a year and they wanted to sell more. That's what I mean by underperforming. They only sold a few, but they wanted to sell more. They wouldn't join a team and actually have help with leads and a system in place to be able to, actually do more deals and make more money. They make a little bit less on per deal, but they make more money overall. Like that's what I would look at if you're looking for lenders right now, is look for if you can find lenders that will fund your deals or put money into deals with you and you can't do any other way, but you have to give up a small portion of the deal. I'd do that all day long. If it means that you're getting the deal done. Now you have to, at some point, recognize your value. And, really money is easy to find. Like a lot of people have money, but the hard thing to find are deals. True good deals. You're the one that has a great value add, that you have to realize as the investor. You're bringing a great opportunity for a lender to the table by allowing them to have something to place their money into and into a pretty secure asset. So, just my 2 cents on that. Let's see what other questions. Noah, thank you for bringing this up. So 17th. So for those of you that don't know, Noah actually manages our Airbnbs for us. And, Noah is freaking awesome. So we appreciate you, Noah. The property on 17th, as people know, we are in this weird COVID world now where it is difficult to evict people. If they want to fight, you're going to be fighting and it will be tough to get people out. So Noah, we're basically in a situation where we have one of the tenants in there that is not removing themselves at will from the property. So we're just in a holding pattern right now on that property because we can't evict. We can't do anything. We're just basically at whenever they're going to cooperate right now. So unfortunately, that's where we're at. We are so freaking excited about getting that turned into an Airbnb and the other property on Sonnet. Our goal, for those of you that don't know, is in 2021, we want to add more Airbnbs to our portfolio. We want to diversify a little bit from having a lot of our properties just in standard rentals or lease options. And we want to turn some of the exits into Airbnbs. And with Noah, we're so excited to do that with you. So, but that's the quick update. The update is there's not a big update because COVID moratorium is until the end of March. So if tenants basically in Arizona say, I don't want to leave, and even though I'm not paying rent, I'm going to stay, and here's my CDC form, and they give that to the judge. The judge basically says, well, we're not going to kick them out because here's their CDC form. Wait till March 31st, and then we'll revisit this. So that's where we're at. It's unfortunate. And also, as far as like deal details, typically reach out to me, Noah, because Pace doesn't even know what's going on with some of the properties because it's not his job. It's my job. All right. Ooh, Debbie, freaking nugget here. So equity sharing to build up trust and credibility first is a great suggestion for long-term business relationship. I agree with that fully. And again, especially for people that haven't done a lot of deals, they don't have a track record. They can't show, 5 active projects they're doing right now. They're like, hey, this is like my second deal or my first deal. Like you have to do that. You know, so you just have to, you know, just do what you have to, like get your hands dirty, like get in, you know, make a little bit less on a deal at the beginning so that you can make more long-term. Real estate in general, it's a long-term business, guys. One of my, oh my gosh, Rick, Biden will kick the can down the road until the fourth quarter. Please, please, God, don't. I hope that does not happen. I'm praying for the best, you know, whatever outcome happens. You know, but that's just at the end of the day, you know, this is just the world that we're living in. So we're just doing the best we can. And, you know, part of that, Rick, is, you know, as an investor, as an entrepreneur, you know, you have to be able to pivot, which is why we're turning some of our properties into Airbnbs. We are, you know, attempting the best we can to get some of our tenants out of some of our properties that will do better as Airbnbs, so we can turn those into Airbnbs and have less of the tenant issue with the moratorium going on. And then some of our acquisitions we're looking at buying right now, we're looking more at, okay, if we can close and do this deal, can we turn this into an Airbnb instead of, you know, having to make it be just a standard rental. We're still buying for regular rentals too, but we want to be a little bit more diversified because of this new normal world that we're in right now. Malcolm, guys, realize Cody's doing 90% of the interactions with us as private lenders. He knows the intricate details. He is the man on this. Malcolm, thank you. I appreciate it. You know, I try to do our best to, you know, make sure our lenders know what's going on, understand what's, you know, happening in a transaction, you know, to keep the line of communication as open as possible to, you know, make sure that our lenders feel good and, you know, understand what's going on, right? So that's the goal. Noah, we will work with you on that out-of-state comfortability with you over time. I mean, I would, if anyone has leads on some subject twos or seller carries in areas that, you know, I am more interested in owning real estate. I mean, if it's somewhere around Austin, Texas, somewhere around, you know, Miami, Florida, or some of the, you know, nice beach areas in Florida, I would definitely look at buying and doing Airbnbs in some of those areas too, just because I want to go and stay then too and be able to stay there basically for free because it's making money the other time. So Rick, great point. Thanks for that. Yeah, you know, you just have to be able to pivot. Like the world is always going to be changing. So for those of you that are on here, like wholesaling may not be the move at all times. Like you may have to pivot and do more fix and flip. You may have to pivot and do more creative finance. You may have to pivot, do Airbnb. Like there's always going to be opportunities in real estate, but as things change in the government, as things change in the state, as, you know, supply and demand changes, as it goes from a seller's market that it currently is right now in, you know, February 2021 to a buyer's market, things are going to have to change. And, you know, as a great investor and as a great entrepreneur, your ability to be able to pivot as things change will, you know, show your, you know, likelihood to succeed long term. Oh, Blake says, Noah, hit me up at the mastermind for Las Vegas Airbnb deals I'm looking at. I would look at some in Vegas too, potentially, depending on where they're at. I'm in Vegas right now and it's pretty dope here. It reminds me of AZ. Ray says, I have South Florida sub 2 leads. If you have leads, so guys, for anybody that is on here, I'm going to put this number on for all of you to be able to reach out to, just in case. If you do have any deals in Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Texas, whether they're sub 2, seller carry, wholesale, fix and flip, whatever that type of deal is, please reach out to Nick Newling on our team. His phone number is 480-819-9295. That again, for those of you that may just be listening and not seeing me, you know, type this right now, Nick Newling, 480-819-9295. I put it in the chat. Please, you know, send those deal opportunities. We want to buy deals. Like that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to buy some more real estate, guys. So I'm going to wrap this up here in the next couple minutes, but what I would like to do is see if, you know, if there are any other questions before we do wrap this up this evening. So all of you can go spend your time, if you're in a relationship, with your significant other for the rest of Valentine's Day. Creighton, you guys are so amazing. Thank you, Creighton. You're freaking awesome. The reason that, again, Pace and myself decided to create Sunday service was we just have felt so grateful and blessed for the success that we've had in our businesses over, the last couple of years. And that's why we decided to do it. This started, 2 years ago as just hey, Pace, let's just hop on like a free conference line and let people listen into what we're doing in our business. And it's turned into this now. So, we're super grateful for it. Again, for those of you, if you don't know already, this is on Spotify and iTunes. So if you ever miss an episode and you want to get synced back up with Sunday service, you could always check us out on Spotify and iTunes and listen to past episodes as well while you're working out, driving to work, or whatever you're doing. Jeff Engelbrecht says, do you pay points to private money lenders? We don't pay points. Again, it's all negotiable. That's the best thing. Some hard money lenders, which are going to, sometimes be the ones that are charging points, you got to pay the points. We don't pay any points to our private money lenders, but not to say that that's not the right thing or the wrong thing. There is really no standard, yes, this is the right way, or no, this is the wrong way when it comes to your lending with your private money lenders. It's just whatever makes sense for the deal to work for you as the investor, and whatever makes sense for that private money lender's risk tolerance, the amount of funds that they're willing to allocate and put into a deal. And number three, the return that they're looking to get on the deal. It's all negotiable. But we do not. Let's see. Angel, take on subleasing properties in other markets and turning them into Airbnbs. Oh my gosh, I have a quick story. This is a worthwhile story. So there is a company, I don't think I'm going to say their name because I don't want to, throw any bad will to them, but there was a company out of, I'll just say where they're from. They were out of Washington, and they actually did this, Angel. They leased a property from me and Pace a little over a year ago. This was like December of 2019. They leased a property from us, and they were Airbnb-ing it. So they started to Airbnb the property, and we were happy because they were paying a little bit over market rent for our house. So we were stoked, and we didn't have to manage the Airbnb because that was before we knew Noah could, help us out. So, so for us, we were excited about that opportunity. Here's the thing that I would, keep, make sure that you're okay with, Angel, is if things happen like COVID unexpectedly in the market, and you put yourself in a position where you need to be carrying those payments on your rent, on the rent every month, you got to make sure you're financially secure enough to carry that if it sits vacant for a few months. Because here's what happened. COVID hit, and a lot of things closed in Arizona in March 2020. And what happened was by April, the first week of April 2020, this company that leased our house and was Airbnb-ing it, they called me, the owner of the company, and they were a pretty decently sized company. They had 50 plus employees, and they had over 100 properties, under over 100, plus Airbnbs. I don't know the exact number, but they had hundreds of these Airbnbs that they were renting and then arbitraging basically and, Airbnb-ing them, which is great. And the situation that happened with them was when COVID hit, they didn't have enough reserves for the company, so that when hundreds of properties all went vacant, they had to make rent payments on, hundreds of houses that weren't getting, paid for by Airbnb anymore. They called me and said, hey, our companies went under. We just laid off all of our staff. This is actually the owner of the company that I never spoke with while they had us under management. And they said, hey, I can give you $1,000 and, you can come after our company, for breaking the lease and the terms and everything. But, there's nothing I can do. Our company's out of business, and you're going to have to take your property back and, figure it out. So that's something that happened. And obviously, if you just have a couple Airbnbs and you can handle the rent payments on those, great. But that was just a situation that, personally happened to Pace and I last year. So then we had to scramble and get some tenants in there. Let's see here. What other questions? So any other questions that you guys have? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up here. So somebody said, isn't Vegas anti-Airbnb? I know some of Vegas is, but I know there's some areas that, there's some areas that are not, not restricted. I think it's mainly areas like really close to the strip. Let's see. Ooh, Moran, do you consider it harmful thing in the beginning to have your hand in so many baskets? For example, if you're trying to wholesale, but also learning to flip and buying sub-2 rentals. Oh, man, that's a great question. You just have to really look at like where you're at. And I think it makes more sense. I've always, and other people will have different opinions, but I always think it makes more sense to get down one thing and then move on to the next thing. Because this is what I see a lot of people do is they run around like freaking squirrels in real estate and they don't really accomplish a lot because they're trying to do 5 different things at the same time. So they're trying to wholesale. They get a deal that they're like, I can make more money if I flip it. So then they take it down to flip. They just learned how to wholesale and get leads, and then they close their deal. Now they're fighting with contractors because they've never managed contractors and they had to raise money. So they're probably using expensive money on the deal. They're trying to manage this flip and everything else going on. So now their lead flow slows down. Now they don't even get another deal for months. Like, it's just a freaking mess. Like, if you don't have a good system down for the things you're doing currently, I don't think it makes sense to add on a lot of different things. Like, master one thing and move on to the next. Like, Pace and I, even though he had a really big construction background, we didn't start flipping right away. We got our wholesale business dialed in to where we were getting consistent leads, we were getting consistent contracts, and we were getting consistent closings. And then once those things were continuously happening, we started adding in the fix and flip so we can create a new process and a new rhythm around that. And then we started buying rentals because then, our fix and flips became very routine and rhythmic as well. So we were able to add on, doing the rentals and then now Airbnbs and, some of the other things we're working on. So would I recommend trying to do it all at the beginning for, no, I would say master one thing, move to the next, master something, create a system, move to the next, master that, create a system, move to the next. That's what I would say to be able to, and again, some people might disagree, but that's in my experience, the way to actually be able to get the most out of what you're doing. It's hard to be really focused. And it's very difficult to focus on multiple things at once when you don't have a good foundation yet. All right, I'm going to finish with this last question. Moran, thanks for the question here. Creighton, what's your best response for someone that says they don't want to be in second position? They're afraid of us taking rehab money and running without doing any repairs and no value in the property. So I would say one is you might need to get a different lender, Creighton, that would be more comfortable with that. And two, maybe you need to just get a little bit more of a track record. I mean, you own multiple rental properties and you've done a lot of real estate deals. So maybe what I would do is maybe be presenting how you're going to run that project. So like if you're looking for $25,000 or $50,000 in second position, like maybe lay out a well-established plan of how those funds are going to go into your deal of like, hey, we expect it to be a 7 or 8 week long project and we plan for week 1, $5,000, next week, $5,000, like whatever, however much money that you need in second position, like where that money's going, how much and when is it going there? And I think if you just bring a better presentation of when the money is going to be used, what it's going to be used for, and if it's a good enough of a deal, like if it's a deal that's pretty tight and like there's not really a lot of room there, that may scare a lender away. But that I would say one, make sure you're giving the right presentation of the deal so that they feel confident that you are certain about what's going to happen with the money. And then two, I would look at, the lender themselves and see if it's really just their just risk tolerance just isn't there, and you need to go look for another lender. So those are a couple things that I would look at with that particular situation. Again, some lenders, like, guys, I have my parents, guys, the people that have raised me as a child and that I love to death so much. And I want to get them, no, not I want, it's I want because I want to help them, because I know of how many of the lenders that we have, lending on deals and that are making, great returns, that I want to be able to place some of their funds into deals with that Pace and myself are doing. But they are scared to death to do it. And so they won't do it. They just won't lend on deals that are great deals. So Creighton, part of that is it's just sometimes the lender is just not going to be the right one. The risk tolerance isn't there. Like, I think I can do 1,000 projects and my parents will still be like, I don't know, if it's something that, we can do. I don't know if we feel comfortable. Like, it's just some lenders are just not going to be the right fit. So that, whether that's going in first position or second position. So you just got to talk to the right lender. Creighton, yeah, that's your parents too. Yeah, I mean, like, I could show my parents that I'm buying a house for $50,000 and it's worth $200,000, and all I have to do is buy it and then resell it tomorrow. They would still be like, I don't know, I don't know if we really want to jump into this deal. That's just what it is. So, it's just always going to be lender based. So, well, guys, yeah, that's so funny, Creighton, that your parents are like that too. So let's go ahead and, wrap this up for the evening. I appreciate everyone that's, spent the time on this live. As we've talked a little bit more about raising private capital, some of the, challenges, some of the ways to communicate with your lenders, some of the, things that we do to communicate with the lenders and, communicate with the lenders and all that. Creighton, sorry. One had 100K profit on flips and they still think it's risky. Some people, it's just never going to be a good fit, right? So not everyone's going to be a good fit for you. But appreciate you guys sticking around tonight on Valentine's evening. I know, a lot of you could be spending time with your significant other. So go and, if you haven't already told, if you are in a relationship, go tell your significant other that you love them, that you appreciate them, and that you're thankful that they're putting up with your crazy self listening to these real estate, crazy guys on a Sunday night, when you have the time to spend with your family. So I appreciate you being here. And appreciate you guys listening in. Again, if you do have deals in Arizona, Florida, Georgia, or Texas, you have Nick's contact information from earlier. We would love to take a look at those deals. We need new fix and flips in Arizona. If you had not already heard, Pace and Jamil are going to be starting on a TV show with AGAINNN in about a month, and we need a lot of fix and flips for that TV show. So when I say, hey, like, we're looking for fix and flips, I don't even mean we're looking for, we need fix and flips, because we could get a good amount from our own marketing, but we need more on top of that to feed the appetite that the TV show AGAINNN is trying to have us record here in about a month. So we're super excited about that. Super happy you guys were here tonight. Again, we are on Spotify and iTunes. If you've gotten any value from this tonight, make sure to like, comment, share with your friends. Go to the Creative Financing with Pace Morby Facebook group and share something you took away. Bring some value to our community that we always, try to do our best to bring to you guys. So with that, appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you guys soon.